So this is an update because I haven't been doing very much lately. Just before Christmas we were heading towards Huddersfield to spend Christmas in Huddersfield and also to attend Marianne's daughter's graduation. After a few difficulties, including a problem with overheating and the coolant dumping itself into the bilge, I managed to get here just before Christmas, a week before, and I'm currently moored at Aspley Wharf, and I'm just going to view over. So I'm standing on the back of the boat now, and we're just very close to the Aspley pub, which was built on an old goods area when the wharf was still operational as a canal, and very rarely I'm actually on shore power. This is only the first time I've done it for any length of time, and that's because when we arrived I wasn't getting any sunlight on the solar panels. There's the rest of the marina over there. There's a bridge there, and that very narrow gap, that's the entrance to the Huddersfield Narrow Canal, which is where I'll be going in about 3 weeks' time. It's quite convenient here though, because we've got services point over there with L-sand disposal. There's a pump out for people who need that, rubbish disposal, and just over the bridge here there's the town centre and a big Sainsbury's. But I'm going to pause here for a moment because I've now got to open up the deck boards to tell you what we've been doing. Boat's been here 3 months or more. Got a few things done while I was here, so a lot of maintenance for everyone. The cat's been to the vet, had his annual jab and his annual checkup, and it's got a clean bill of health. I've been to the dentist, got a little repair done and a hygienist visit, and yesterday we had a mechanic in who serviced the engine for me. We are still investigating the cooling problem. The lighting's very difficult because we've got a setting sun shining straight into the back of the engine room. Here's the engine bay, and there's normally 2 big deck boards there. So what we've got in here is the engine itself, which is known as a Beta 43. So it's a 43 horsepower engine from Beta Marine. At heart it's a 2-litre diesel engine with a few extra bits because it's in a boat. So we've got an alternator and then a bigger alternator. So that one charges the starter battery. This one charges the 4 leisure batteries, as they call them. And down here is our travel power generator, and that produces 230 volts directly when the engine's running straight into the 230 volt circuit in the boat. It's quite a useful thing to have. I'm not sure I would buy one if I didn't have it, because they are a very expensive option. The last time I looked I was seeing prices around £4,000. This one's actually made by Electrolux, which took me a little bit by surprise. And over here we can see the exhaust pipe, which is bound up so you don't burn yourself too easily. Then the gearbox, which is a 2-to-1 ratio, and then there's a metal tube there. That's the drive shaft going out to the propeller, and it goes through a fitting there called the stern gland. And one of the things that was done on the service is we checked the state of those glands that are packed there to stop water coming back in. I put grease in. There's a grease tube there. You just turn the handle on the top. It's now been refilled so that it's right up at the top. To gradually turn the crank, and it winds grease onto the fibre pads which go around the prop shaft, and that keeps the water out. And it's doing it beautifully at the moment, because that rather mucky little container down there is where water would go, and there's a bilge pump which automatically will take water out. Then we're into the bilge, and you can see there's a little bit of pink coloured coolant there. That's a little bit of unfinished business from the service that's got to be sorted out. But over here we have, actually, I'm going to lift this cross brace out of the way. There we go. It's one of the nice things about this boat. The engine bay is completely open once you've got those boards up. But down here we can see the famous skin tank. There's a pipe here that goes up into the top of this steel structure, which is welded to the inside of the hull. It goes from over there all the way along to here, and the hot water coming out of the engine goes into the top there. It flows through this tank, and the heat goes out into the canal water, and then it comes back on this return pipe down there. There's another little circuit with water, with hot water from the engine that goes up here, and it goes into this green tank. This is called, I'm not sure why, but they're known as calorifiers, but it's actually a hot water tank for my domestic hot water. So when the engine's running, hot coolant from the engine gets pumped through there and it heats up the water. So at the end of a day's cruising, you can always have a nice hot shower. If I'm not cruising, I've got an alternative, which is down here, and this black thing here and the control box next to it, this is my diesel water heater. This one's made by a company called Overheating, who are very big in this area. They make them for vans and trucks as well. They're not just for boats. And there are a few other brands as well. Webasto I know is one. But they heat the water, and if my radiators are turned on, which they're not at the moment because it's got nice and warm, then on those it goes through those grey pipes and pumps hot water out to the radiators. The only thing about the Overheating is it does make a bit of a noise when it's running, because there's a pump pumping diesel fuel in to the burner, and there's a water pump pumping water around the system, and they both chug away. But the service went well yesterday, so oil filters, air filters, all changed. The oil's been changed in the gearbox and the engine, and the engineer who came had a device which none of the other engineers I've had before brought with them. He had a Caterpillar phone, and they're made specially to be extra rugged for workmen to use on site, and the top of the range one has an infrared camera, so he was able to take pictures of the skin tank there, and we were able to see a line across the skin tank there going all the way across, where it showed after the engine had run for a while it was hot at the top and cool at the bottom, which is encouraging, because that tells me that there is a baffle inside there which is making the water flow all through the skin tank, and that's something there's no way to tell once the boat's been built, and unfortunately the manufacturer of this boat has gone out of business, so we can't go back and ask them how they built their skin tanks. He also spotted something down here. This device here is an oil cooler for the gearbox, and there's some temperature anomalies on the coolants flowing in and out of there. So he's coming back when he can find time, and we're going to investigate further, because it may be that the skin tank could be bigger, or should be bigger ideally, but also if there's anything else wrong with the system, then it would be good to fix that first and then address how serious the skin tank problem is, because the fix for it isn't easy. You can see there's a radiator here mounted on the wall. That was a failed attempt from last year to add cooling into the circuit, It did get hot, and it had a nice side effect in the winter of warming up this engine room when you're cruising, but unfortunately it generated pressure in the system, and when the third time a hose blew off its coupling and dumped all the coolant into the bilge here, we decided enough's enough and it's been disconnected. So that was a failure. And I don't know quite when the mechanic's coming back. He might even catch up with me when we're travelling, because he's very mobile, but hopefully we can sort something out, and hopefully it will be before I leave here. Target time is the 8th of April. So that's where we are, and I don't think we've shown the engine room before, so there you are. That's a working bilge, not smart, not like other vloggers have ones that look like operating theatres. This one is showing it's 18, 19 years of age, but it works very well and it's clean. So there we are. I'm going to stop now, and I'm going to put these deck boards back.